Join us for all things Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, that is. We're talking Miami Dolphins football on the Fins Radio Network.
I'm Coach Don Shula, and I approve this message.
Picture us losing to another team we played way back in the day. You said the record was made. We posted undefeated stats that nobody can match. Got people looking back and saying, man, how'd they do that? Well, the answer is simple. The contestants just do the math. Everybody got beat. Each time they stepped in our path. You might say it's a fluke. The Dolphins won every game. Somebody show me the team. You say whose record's the same. What? When you finally see the light and the truth is a must, there's not another team inside this perfect circle but us. Since we ran the table on them, it ain't been the same. You want to go undefeated?
When the Patriots scored, I looked at Jerry Kramer and I said, okay, now, would you rather have the lead and be ahead, or would you rather have the ball and be behind? He said, I'd rather have the lead and be ahead. I said, not me. I'd rather have the ball and be behind, because then you have your own fate in your own hands. I was just on the radio with somebody from Denver. The guy said, suppose the New England Patriots had won and 19-0, would that diminish your record at all? I said, first of all, you're asking me about a hypothetical, to turn it into a supposition, to then give you an answer that you were going to say that could possibly be a fact. And simply go back and look at your beginning of your question. If the New England Patriots had gone 19-0, we wouldn't be in this conversation. It's difficult for people to understand, I think, the accomplishment of that football team, because we simply did it without fanfare. In 1969, we were doormats at 3-10-1. Shula comes, we change coaches, but the team is transformed. We turn ourselves into a 10-4 team and went to the playoffs, then a 10-4 team and went to the Super Bowl and lost. When we lost there, that's when Shula came back and he made us watch that game on the first day we came back for the 72 season. And he turns off the projector. He says, now, you see how sick you feel now? You see how sick and sorry you feel? Well, just think of how sick and sorry you're going to be if you don't go back and redeem yourselves for what you did last year. And then he said, I forgot to tell you, it was just as much my fault as it was yours. We had already been there the year before in that one game that you're supposed to play and win, and we got our butts beat. So we dedicated ourselves to a man to come back and redeem ourselves. And on the way, we just happened to go unbeaten. We finished that season number 1 in offense, number 1 in defense, number 1 in special teams, fewest giveaways, most takeaways, least penalized, scored the most points, gave up the least. So if you're number 1 in every relevant category team-wise and no one beats you, then you have to ask the question 35 years later, who's better than you? We ran 7 out of every 10 times in a league that ran 3 out of every 5 times. In our rushing title, we broke a 36-year-old rushing record that stood in the NFL, falling just 40 yards short of 3,000 yards rushing in a 14-game season. We lost Bob Greasy for 11 weeks. The guy who replaced him, Earl Morrall, was throwing touchdown passes back in 1957 when I was 10. So we go from like me being in Pop Warner to me being in the pros, and Earl's still the quarterback. And I truly believe that had the Giants not won and the Patriots won, it would be a different kind of world about what undefeated means. But now, because they didn't, it's almost kind of in certain circles like sour grapes. But well, the way you guys are celebrating, and I said, this is not about us. This is about our fans, because our fans have the quintessential bragging rights in professional football. I said, that's what the league doesn't like it. Some of the sports pundits don't like it, but our fans love it. And that's the most important thing. So one of the reasons why I'm so vocal is because I have to constantly remind people that, hey, this is the only team that's ever had this accomplishment. So you should at least respect that, as opposed to trying to find a way to make it so that it's somehow about the celebration of the toast as opposed to the celebration of the accomplishment.
Were there any teams that you just didn't like to face off against because you knew they gave you a challenge every time?
Come on, man. We were 32-2. And so, you know what? Here's the answer to that. When we prepared, We prepared on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in practice. Our games weren't won on Sunday. Our games were won in the preparation on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because those are the 3 days that you put the game plan out for what you're going to do the next week. And that on that Sunday, you were then tested to see whether or not what you produced in practice was sufficient enough to not win the game, but to execute in a manner that you could control the outcome of the game. Out of the 17 weeks, we won the toss 16 times.
Wow.
The only time we didn't win it is when Larry Little picked. And Bonaconte told me about that last week. Because we were so efficient up front, when it was 3rd and 8, we would run and pick up 9. 3rd and 10 and pick up 11, running. So that back then, the execution was so great. We didn't have, like, holes to run through. We had hallways because they opened up lines for these guys, and our offensive line was so great. And as a result, you see there are 2 guys in the Hall of Fame and one who has been touted to go in the Hall of Fame in Bob Kuchenberg, because we had such efficient people doing their job, which is something you don't see today. Today you have some individuals who are out there, and they call them individual matchups. Well, that's not what wins games. Teams win games by playing together as a team. Well, man, we're all part of the Dolphin Nation, and the only thing that separates us from being the same is that when we go into the stadium, you go into the stands, and we go into the locker room. When we come out, we go buy the same gas, go get the same groceries, buy the same toilet paper, so we're all pretty much the same. We come from that era of people that we were regular people who did an extraordinary thing, and our fans are extraordinary fans who recognize that this was something that hasn't been done before and most likely won't happen again. It's a possibility, but the probability is not there. And that's something that the Dolphin fan can always hold. I write on my autograph to my detractors, I know it's hard, in parentheses, and then in other parentheses says, to take. So we've decided we're going to do a 5-year run on this all the way up to our 40th anniversary. And if they don't like it, so what? This isn't a popularity contest. This is the Dolphin Nation. And we're going to make sure that all of our fans get the enjoyment and the pleasure of saying, regardless of what's happening, what isn't happening is another undefeated season.
You finally see the light, and the truth is a must. There's not another team inside this perfect circle with us. Since we ran the table on them, it ain't been the same. You want to go undefeated, you got to win every game. I know you wonder.
FinsRadio.net